Hello, coin collectors out there. Welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. If you've been watching my channel lately, you're probably familiar with these coins. These are the $1 Canadian loonie coins. As you can see, I've got them arranged as far as date. On the left, we have 1987, 89. This is a commemorative issue, 1867 to 1992. Then 2004, then 2006, and then 2012. So you see a little bit of the changes in the design for those particular coins, but you might not have seen this one right here. Oh, it's another Canadian dollar, but it's not round. This is a paper dollar. So that's what today's video is going to focus on. This paper dollar right here. This is actually one of the nicer paper dollars that I've got, paper banknotes that I've got, which is why I've got it in this nice plastic folder. But as you can see, this is a commemorative issue as indicated by the two dates at the top. It says 1867 to 1967. So we're going to talk about this Canadian $1 banknote right here, and we'll get into a little bit of history of the Canadian $1 banknotes. So to start off, in honor of the 100th anniversary of the Confederation, a modified version of the 1954 $1 note was issued bearing the date 1967. So that's what we see here. The centennial logo was added to the front of the note, and a view of Canadians' original Parliament buildings, which were destroyed by a fire in 1916, were substituted for the prairie landscape that appeared on the original 1954 $1 note. A second version of the commemorative note, featuring the dates 1867 to 1967 in place of the serial number, was also issued. So that's what we've got here. This is a commemorative issue note to celebrate, as you can see at the top there, the centennial of the Canadian Confederation. Now, the original 1954 note that they were talking about had a prairie landscape on the reverse. This one actually has the Parliament building. So the little description at the bottom indicates Canada's first Parliament buildings. So we can see a nice looking Parliament building there. That looks like a very big historic building. Now you might be wondering to yourself if you can still get one of these banknotes. And the issue is, yes, you can get an old one, but you can't get a modern one. That's because printing of the $1 note ceased in 1989 after release of the loonie coin in 1987. So we looked at a 1987 loonie coin, so that's the first year that these ones came out. And these coins, the loonie coins, made these ones kind of, the banknotes, the paper notes, kind of irrelevant. The banknotes were virtually never seen in circulation today. The most recent banknote series included the $1 note, was the Scenes of Canada. With the $1 note released in 1974, it colored green and black. The face featured a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and the back featured the image of Parliament Hill across the Ottawa River, with log driving activities taking place on the water. So that's what the most recent one looks like that came out in 1974. This one right here came out 1967, so a little bit before that. This wasn't kind of this was at the very kind of end of their run as far as making these. Another interesting fact about Canadian banknotes is that they actually had a $1,000 banknote. And that printing of that didn't cease until 2000. So printing of the 1,000 note ceased in 2000. The denomination was withdrawn on the advice of the Solicitor General in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, as it was often used for money laundering and organized crime. Who would have thought? The Bank of Canada has requested that the financial institutions return 1,000 notes for destruction. The most recent issue of this denomination was the 1992 note as part of the Birds of Canada series. It was a pink color featuring Queen Elizabeth II on the face and two pine grosbecks on the back. So those 1,000 notes sound rather interesting and rather fun. However, unfortunately, I don't have one. You can imagine the reason why, because I don't have $1,000 to spend on coins or paper banknotes. But if you ever see one, you're quite a lucky person. You can look up images of them. They have images that say, you know, specimen stamped across them or void or something like that, just to make sure they don't get counterfeited. but they are images of the 1,000 banknotes out there. They're a cool looking note. You don't see stuff that's 1,000 that very high or that very frequently. Another cool fact I want to share with you while I've got you here about the Canadian banknotes. The Canadian dollar is the currency of Canada. It's abbreviated with the dollar sign or sometimes CAN dollar sign. So the Canadian dollar accounts for approximately 2% of all global reserves. The Canadian dollar is the fifth held reserve currency in the world behind the US dollar, the euro, the yen, and the pound sterling. The Canadian dollar is popular with central banks because of Canada's relative economic soundness, the Canadian government's strong sovereign position, and the stability of the country's legal and political systems. So that's the main reason people like to hold, or countries or nations like to hold these notes right here as their reserve note. Behind the dollar, the euro, the yen, and the pound sterling, the Canadian dollar is the fifth most popular reserve currency to hold. All right, everyone, I'll start to sign off. If you liked this video, if you found it informative, please do like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any recommendations as far as videos that I should be making or that you would be interested in seeing, as always, leave a comment section. Best of luck coin collecting, everyone. Have a great day and take care. Enjoy.